to 2017, right? So think about what was happening in America at that time. So Trump was just becoming president, the election campaign was going on, and there was protests all the time. So we had Take Over Wall Street, we had the Not My President movement, and I went to NYU. NYU is probably one of the most liberal places you could be in this world, right? We had Bernie Sanders, when he was running for president, give his speech from my campus at Washington Square Park. Of course, Hillary's stronghold was Wall Street, again, my campus. So things were really in turmoil at that point. And then think about what was happening in India at that time, right? The BJP was coming in with a huge mandate. We had unbelievable public infrastructure in terms of Aadhaar, UPI. Geo had come into effect. And it felt like the country of growth. So who remembers Achhe Din Aayenge? I don't know if you all were too young. But basically, our Honorable Prime Minister, he came to America and he did this rally in Washington, Madison Square Park. And I went for that. And it just seemed like there was going to be so much promise in India. And there was all these buzzwords at that time, like ease of doing business.
Correct.
You know, things like that. So India felt, and we were growing at about 8.5% at that time, and they were growing at like 2 or 3%. So these were like vital decision points. And AQI and things like that are like great assets. I think there's an emotional infrastructure to life as well.
And that is
right?
India.
That is your parents. That is the community around you that has built you. I think to be able to build with an emotional infrastructure and to be able to carry out your life, it's a much bigger asset than to have roads and railways, in my opinion. As a person, it depends on your moral standing. Like I had a huge feeling of responsibility to build for the country.
As I keep mentioning, you've got 800 million people below the age of 35. So technically, you've got the largest youth population in the world who is in India.
Yeah.
So when you're building for India, there are already so many consumers who are going to consume from India.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense to come back to India, understand India per se, and then build for India.
Of course, build for India, from India, for Indians, by Indians, all of the above.
And you said something very interesting. You went to NYU and you saw the political climate out there. Would you go back to NYU if you were starting all over again at this juncture? If you had just graduated from school, say? And
100%. So I mean, things were different then. Like even at that time, I thought, okay, I'll go for my master's. Visas and things were much easier then, coming, going back. Would I go back? I mean, I think being a global citizen and understanding that, being on a campus where you can meet an Albanian and a Palestinian and an Israeli and you can all have an open conversation as students, I think that's a really beautiful thing. I wouldn't trade that for anything.
You know, you're a great example of somebody who is a global citizen and also locally rooted. And perhaps that has to do both with your university and then all your time that you spent in India. What does it mean to be locally rooted? What does it mean essentially to preserve Indian culture?
We think in systems and environments.
Correct.
And not as individuals first, right? So we have a responsibility to our families, our society, our country. But because of these generational roles that we play, I'm very confident that I'll be able to have my kids and like leave them with my mother or my mother-in-law. Even at a society level, I think we're liable to our actions because we play these roles really well. So I think it makes us better people. And generally also, I think Indian culture in this increasingly fragmented world where we're able to hold contradictions really well that I don't think globally people can do. Today, you're able to be like a wholly rounded person where you're able to celebrate your own